And first this morning, the Democrats' bold and swift power grab. We've made a point each week of highlighting the radical policies and what Republicans across the country are doing to fight back against this agenda. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson is among the loudest voices calling out President Biden. And now the Democrats are trying to slander him and silence him. New Jersey Senator Robert Menendez called Senator Johnson a racist on the Senate floor over remarks he made about the January 6th Capitol attack. Senator Johnson says it's all just part of their playbook, and he will not back down. He joins me this morning. Senator, it's good to have you today. Thanks very much for joining me.
Good morning, Maria.
Tell me about that incident on the Senate floor. You were not there. Can you respond to Menendez calling you racist?
Well, unfortunately, Democrats and liberals engage in a assassination of character, and they reflexively play the race card primarily to silence their critics or silence anybody that they don't want their viewpoint spread around. So the reason there's two reasons they're silencing me. First of all, they view the Wisconsin Senate seat in 2022 as vulnerable, and they'd like to pick that up to completely consolidate the power so they can complete the socialization of America. But also, I'm one of the few people pushing back on their inaccurate narrative that there were thousands of armed insurrectionists intent on overthrowing the government on January 6th. You know, I've condemned what happened. I condemned the breach. I condemned the violence. But what I was doing is I was comparing what happened on January 6th to the over 500 riots that occurred during the summer, basically left-wing, that resulted in up to 25 lives lost, 700 law enforcement officers injured, $1 to $2 billion worth of property damage. They want us to forget those riots, which continue to this day, and they want to silence their critics. And again, they do it by reflexively playing the race card. There was nothing racial in my comments whatsoever.
Yeah, and the media is complicit in this regard, driving the bus on all of this for the Democrat agenda. I'll point out what took place this week. The Washington Post had to admit that it misquoted President Trump in a massive Georgia election story that was used against him during the impeachment. And then one by one, media networks followed saying, well, we independently confirmed that President Trump said, find the fraud. We actually got the tape this past week, and there was no such language that President Trump used on that phone call with a Georgia election official. I'll also point out that what we're seeing from a federal judge alleging that Democrats are close to controlling all major news outlets. Did you see the federal judge story that the Democrat Party is close to controlling all of the media? The D.C. Circuit Court's Judge Lawrence Silberman outlined his opposition to the Supreme Court's key decision in a 1964 New York Times versus Sullivan piece. Your reaction?
Well, I did see an article on that. I haven't read the opinion myself, but I think we've known for a long time that the mainstream media, social media, is just part and parcel of the Democrat Party. Everybody complains about Russian interference in the 2016 election. Now in the 2020 election, it pales in comparison to the interference, the censorship of the mainstream media and the social media. They selected their candidate, Joe Biden. They did everything they could, including suppressing information on Hunter Biden, to make sure that he won. So no, their interference in the election is something they simply will not own up to. They're oblivious to the fact that half of America doesn't trust them because of their bias. But I support a free press, but it has to be an unbiased press. And we are at a very dangerous moment in American history where we don't have an unbiased press. We have a very biased one that has chosen sides. And I really did appreciate Judge Silberman's comments. I want to read his opinion.
Well, now the Democrats are weaponizing race. They're continuing to weaponize race. You were just called that name from Menendez, but they are trying to appear that their election reform bill has anything to do with race, Senator. Remember President Obama eulogizing John Lewis back in July of last year. President Obama called it a relic of Jim Crow. They're now saying that they want to remove the filibuster because the filibuster is race, and they're talking about their H.R. 1 bill being apparently helping the minority community. I interviewed Candace Owens on this. Listen to what Candace Owens says. about how the Democrats are trying to sell H.R. 1, and then I want to get into H.R. 1 for you. But they're trying to sell it as a civil rights bill. Watch this.
I'm so tired of Black Americans, Hispanic Americans being used to further the Democrat power and everything that the Democrats want to do. And we've seen this time and time again. And it's always a game of linguistics. They tell you that it's going to help you, right? It's to combat voter suppression. Well, votes are not being suppressed. This is what the left always does. They make it sound good when in fact they're actually after the exact opposite. When I hear them saying that they're trying to combat voter suppression, I always know that what they're actually after is suppressing votes themselves and making sure that they stay in power.
Senator, it's almost comical that they named this H.R. 1 bill for the people. Your reaction to H.R. 1?
Democrats are hypocrites. I mean, newsflash. Candace Owens is exactly right. Democrats engage in the exact same behavior 10 times worse than what they accuse Republicans that we don't do. So they're absolute hypocrites, and the reason they want to nationalize elections is they want to completely consolidate power for all time. They are trying to destroy conservatives in the Republican Party completely. So we don't even compete in the arena of ideas. That is what is so dangerous about a biased media.
And it's interesting that President Obama brought up the filibuster back then during the funeral, calling the filibuster a relic of Jim Crow. So we have Joe Biden and the Democrats running everything now in Washington. Let's take a look at their policy, Senator. First up, the border. We have this graphic here that we want to show from the Customs and Border Patrol, showing us what has taken place since the Biden administration has taken down all of President Trump's rules and regulations around illegal immigration. Your reaction to the thousands of migrants showing up at our borders, and walk us through this chart of border apprehensions.
That's the chart that I created years ago as chairman of Homeland Security. We just keep updating it. And what it shows is average daily apprehensions. And you can see that the crisis point in the spring, early summer of 2019. And you have to understand that the color coding in this. Gold is basically single adults, blue are family units, and red are unaccompanied children. This was all sparked back in 2012 with Deferred Action on Childhood Arrivals. And people in Central America have learned to exploit our very lenient immigration laws. And so this is predictable what's happening. You can see that President Trump, by and large, solved the problem of unaccompanied children and family units by his return to Mexico policy, the agreements he entered into with Mexico and Central America. And Joe Biden unraveled all of that. And so you see the predictable crisis. We are up now to over 4,000 people per day being apprehended on the border. Maria, that's a caravan per day. And the human toll that will take. The fact that human traffickers take advantage of the situation, drug traffickers do. This isn't anything that's a surprise. We held hearings on this about how single males back in 2014, only 1% were coming in with a child. By 2019, 50% were because they're exploiting the family unit loophole. And there were actually children being sold to people so they could come in as family units. The depredations, the involuntary servitude, some of these illegal immigrants being put into stash houses, they're being beaten, it's videotaped, it's used as blackmail and ransom down in Central America. This is inhumane, and this is what the Biden administration is saying, oh, we're doing this because we're going to be more humane. No, you are sparking a human toll and human inhumanity.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk with Stephen Miller about this because there's a gag order now on the Border Patrol agents. They're not allowed to talk to the press. I've been speaking with my sources there, and it's an unofficial gag order. Real quick on the agenda and spending and taxes, our producer Abby saw this at the Equinox Gym. The Equinox Gym is going to be forced to pass on the tax increases to the people, the customers. They put this sign up saying that we're reaching out to share an update. New York State is mandating that Equinox and other similar businesses in New York collect a 4.5% sales tax on membership dues and other purchases for the club, including personal training, Pilates sessions, packages, etc. That's going to start on April 1, 2021, because New York State is raising taxes, and we are expecting the Biden administration to announce a major tax increase in the next month. What can you tell us about the next part of their agenda after the $1.9 trillion spending package?
You're going to see a big difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans, by and large, believe that it's your money and that we have to tax you to a certain extent to carry out the functions of government. Democrats believe it's all government's money, and they're generous to allow you to keep any of your hard-earned, the benefits of your hard-earned work. So they're going to start taxing success, and it is going to kill a recovery. You know, right now, the economy is just ready to take off. Real disposable income increased at 5.5%. Total savings increased $1.6 trillion. You combine that with the pent-up demand because of all the shutdowns, our economy is just ready to take off as long as Democrats don't snuff it out. And now they passed a $1.9 trillion spending relief, even though they have $1 trillion unspent from the original $4 trillion. And of course, they'll take credit for a good economy. They won't take the blame when it does their tax increases do long-term harm.
All right, Senator, we'll be waiting for that announcement from the administration and watching the impact. Senator Ron Johnson, good to see you as always, sir. Thank you.
Have a good day.